so you can't sleep at night. Neither can I, to be honest. My name is Dalvin, and let's talk about that. So you may have clicked into this video wondering what value can I provide or what can I possibly say to improve your life. So you're in lockdown, and if you're in the UK like me, it's for the third time now, and let's just say it hasn't been easy on my sleep. Many of you could probably relate with me as well. You know that thing where you stubbornly stay up all night for no reason because you don't feel like you got enough time to yourself during the day? Revenge bedtime procrastination. Before we dive into that topic, when we think of not being able to sleep, we usually think of insomnia, right? Basically, insomnia means that you have regular sleeping problems. Do you find it hard to go to sleep or wake up several times during the night or still feel tired after waking up? Well then, you might have insomnia. But I'll put a link in the description where you can complete a self-sleep assessment on yourself, and it does give you some practical tips and advice on how you could improve your sleep as well. So why do we need sleep, and why can we just not sleep? The average person spends about 26 years sleeping in their lifetime. Surely we could spend that time doing something a little bit more useful? Well, just like eating and drinking, we need sleep to survive. So I was recently watching this video by Mike Shackle, I think it's his surname, but hi, if you're watching, I'm sorry. So he does this challenge where he goes to sleep for 8 hours, then 4 hours, and then no sleep at all. And he does a bunch of tests, like a reaction test and a memory test, and a more realistic example like editing a video. This was his results. Yeah, the results are more or less what you'd expect. The less sleep he got, the worse his results were. I recommend you go watch his video. It will be linked down below. So yeah, I hope I've convinced you and established that sleep is important. Yeah, we need sleep to function at our best. How much sleep do you really need? So for adults, it's about 7 to 9 hours, children 9 to 13 hours, and toddlers or babies about 12 to 17 hours. All these factors combined, I definitely think sleep is very important. Sleep is at a more vulnerable point at this time. Why?
In December 2019, China notified the World Health Organization of several cases of human respiratory illness.
COVID-19, a virus that shook the world, more deadlier than anything we've experienced before. Over 2.4 million deaths, 109 million cases. Words like sanitizers, masks, and isolation has become a part of our daily vocabulary. But what has this pandemic got to do with our sleep? Lockdown, a state of isolation or restricted access instituted as a security measure. Yes, lockdown. As I said at the start of the video, the third time for me. A lack of routine and not being able to stick to schedule has disrupted our daily way of life. From when we get up to when we go to sleep, to what we eat and when we eat it. I'm sure many of you could relate with me here. So I'm a uni student and I've really had online classes since the first lockdown. And everything just feels so optional compared to how it was before. And in this case, going to sleep and getting up at the right time makes it really hard. Leading me to the main point of this video, which is revenge bedtime procrastination.
Revenge bedtime procrastination.
Revenge bedtime procrastination.
It's like going back to your childhood when mom and dad said go to bed and you went, no, I don't want to go to bed. Well, that's what this is. It's called revenge bedtime procrastination.
Revenge bedtime procrastination is a phenomenon that many people don't really have much control over their daily lives. Despite feeling tired and overworked, they would not go to sleep. They'd refuse to go to sleep to regain a sense of freedom or escape to the time we lost during the day. Now you probably understand why it's called revenge bedtime procrastination. This is generally a new term and hasn't really been out or put out there as much. So I do want to make people aware of that. But the sad truth of being in lockdown, I do feel this term is much more relevant than it ever was. What are some measures we could take to counteract the effects of this phenomenon? So some simple facts like don't drink caffeine before bed, avoid nicotine, and don't exercise 2 to 3 hours before bed, and obviously make your bed comfortable to sleep in. So yeah, first and foremost, apart from them obvious tips, I would definitely say get rid of your phone before bed. Actually, I won't say that because many of you won't do it and Neither would I. Usually at night, we use our devices for consuming media. So how about instead of watching a video, you try listening to a podcast? While watching a video, it might seem to help us relax before bed. It's actually engaging our brains and telling us to stay alert. However, with podcasts, we can get a little bit of nighttime entertainment before you drift off to bed without absorbing that extra blue light from our devices. There are even some podcasts designed specifically to help you relax before bed, such as the Sleep With Me podcast, the Sleep Whisperers, and some more I'll have up on the screen. What else can you do? Adapt your environment. Remember, it's not getting up early that's the hardest, it's actually going to sleep on time. Having an interest in psychology and doing it as a subject at A level gave me a little bit of an insight into circadian rhythms. So what it is as an example in this context, well, it's kind of like your body clock. The circadian biological clock is controlled by a part in our brains called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It's a tough word here, but it's a group of cells that's located in the hypothalamus of the brain. This responds to light and dark signals. So for example, when our eyes perceive light, our retina send a signal to our SCN or the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This sets off a chain reaction of hormone production and suppression that affects your body temperature, appetite, sleep drive, and much more. Also, for example, you want your room to be dark at night, so you want to turn on them blue light filters on your devices, which I also have talked about in my previous video about social media habits, which I'll have linked below. So turn them filters on and it helps you get your body more into that night mode, let's say. So the next day, each morning as the sunlight creeps in, our body temperatures begin to rise and cortisol is released. This increases our alertness and causing us to wake up. However, in the evening, as it becomes dark outside, melatonin levels rise and body temperature lowers. Melatonin stays elevated throughout the night, which promotes your sleep. So yeah, I often find it hard to sleep when my room is too warm. So ideally you don't want your room to be too warm or too cold, but of course that depends on the person. So yeah, adapt your environment to make going to sleep easier for you. So the final and probably the most hardest thing I could tell you is try and control your mindset. I know this is easier said than done. So changing your mindset to be like, I have to get all these things done today, otherwise I'll fall behind, or say you have you send yourself too many tasks for the day, and if you leave it to the next day, you don't feel good about yourself. So that's the kind of change I'm on about. And some of us stretch ourselves to that extra inch at the end of the day, just to get that little bit of work done. Maybe this is good, but sometimes it's just better to leave it to the next day, because you'll be more alert and less tired in fact. For some people like me who feel better and more peaceful working later on in the day and maybe night, this can be efficient. But usually if a task goes to the next day, unless it's a deadline, let's say, that you leave late, you will be less tired and more ready to perform the following day. So all in all, sleep boosts your immune system, puts you in a better mood, increases your productivity as well as your memory. So I hope you gained a better understanding of this quite narrow and vaguely talked about subject. Also make sure to let me know what you think below. I would appreciate if you could leave any comments and give me some feedback, and of course share this video to any of them night owls out there who might find this video useful, and make sure to subscribe as well, all the usual stuff. And yeah, hit the like button if you think this somewhat profited your time. I will be uploading weekly, but that's it from me today. So good night.